Tonight's top stories. Relatives of the victims of the shocking and tragic shooting at a school in Tacloban City begin the arduous task of seeking justice for the lost loved ones as authorities ready the filing of charges against the assailants. A public school in Quezon City tightens its campus security following the tragic shooting at a school in Tacloban City. The Marcos Jr. administration eyes to release more funds for various local governments next year as part of its bid to empower more cities and municipalities to be able to better serve Filipinos. All these and more on PTV News Tonight. Good evening. Welcome to PTV News Tonight. Of the two active shooters arrested and taken into custody over last Monday's deadly in-campus mass shooting at a Tacloban City high school has been slapped with multiple charges of 3 counts of murder, just as many counts of frustrated murder and several counts of serious physical injuries by the police. Ryan Lesigas makes sense of why one was charged and the other spared in this report.
Inaarala po naman ng justisya na maupay. Ang dapat po. Diri kay i-interview na tapos ipaparyabla.
A cheerful child full of dreams. This is how his brother described Yancy, one of the victims of the shooting at San Jose National High School in Tacloban City, Leyte. She was the third of 4 siblings, and at the young age of 15, she already knew what she wanted in life. She dreamed of becoming a teacher someday. But that dream has vanished after she was killed on Monday inside the very classroom where she was building her future.
Guys. Ayoko na kasi kunuya. Ayoko. Nagbabala mo ng namumusil ko. Nagbabala man. Tumukdo ko na nakbukto. Tapos tumiling na nakbukto. Tumukdo. Sakto mo na magbala na mamumusil. Gipto si Leo.
Yancy's family is struggling to accept the tragic fate of the teenager.
Kaya guys, sukaran kaya. Kaluluwi yun.
Multiple charges have been filed against one of the 2 suspects in the crime. The cases filed against the 15-year-old suspect include 3 counts of murder, 3 counts of frustrated murder, and multiple counts of serious physical injuries. The criminal complaints are currently under assessment and evaluation by the prosecutor's office to determine whether there is sufficient basis to proceed in court.
2 araw pinagplanuhan eh. So, it looks like murder. But again, 15 years old, so ikukonsulta namin sa DSWD kung within his time frame of kung pwede na siyang itry as an adult.
The other suspect, who is only 14 years old, was not included in the filing of charges. Authorities said the minor has no criminal liability under Republic Act 9344 or the Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act of 2006. The minor is in the custody of the city's Social Welfare and Development Office and will undergo the appropriate intervention program.
We are doing our best such that walang mangyaring ganyang incident. Of course, we implement and we continuously investigate, and the purpose of investigation is not to find fault, but we need to improve our security operations.
Meanwhile, based on the results of the paraffin test, the right hands of both minors tested positive for gunpowder nitrates. The police officer who owns the firearm allegedly used by the 14-year-old suspect is now undergoing summary dismissal proceedings. Because of this horrific tragedy, in a single moment, not only were lives cut short, but so too were the dreams nurtured by the victims. As the families left behind continue to mourn, They also keep their search for justice moving forward, a form of justice that has become even more difficult to comprehend as those accused of the crime are minors. Ryan Lisiges for The Nation.
The Senate Committee on Women, Children, Family Relations, and Gender Equality is set to examine the potential role of online platforms and gaming spaces in the spread of violent content and the radicalization of minors. This following the recent school shooting incident in Tacloban City. Bernard Ferrer has the full details.
The Senate will reopen its inquiry on child safety in digital spaces on July 1st following the school shooting in Tacloban City. According to Senator Risa Ontiveros, the Senate Committee on Women, Children, Family Relations, and Gender Equality will examine whether online platforms and gaming spaces have adequate measures in place to prevent the spread of violent content and the manipulation or recruitment of minors. The inquiry follows the committee's hearing on April 14, during which lawmakers discuss allegations that certain online platforms and gaming spaces were being used to influence, manipulate, and encourage violent behavior among some young people. The hearing also covered issues related to online sexual abuse, exploitation, grooming, and extortion of minors. Ontiveros said the investigation aims to determine whether existing safeguards are sufficient to protect children online and to ensure that authorities can act promptly before similar incidents occur again. Meanwhile, Senate President Sherwin Gatchalian is advocating for a greater involvement of parents and local government units through the Parent Effectiveness Service or PS program to help address violence in schools. The PS program was established under Republic Act No. 11908 or the Parent Effectiveness Service Program Act, which was principally authored by Gatchalian. Under the law, the program seeks to strengthen the knowledge and capabilities of parents and parent substitutes in properly guiding children, including safeguarding their rights and welfare. The law also mandates the implementation of the PS program in all cities and municipalities across the country, while the Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD is tasked with developing modules on child protection, abuse prevention, and character development for young people. Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chair Senator Erwin Tulfo has also called for stronger enforcement of the Anti-Bullying Act to better protect students from harassment and violence. Senate Majority Leader Juan Miguel Mig Zubiri, for his part, supports proposal to ban or strictly limit social media use among young children. According to Zubiri, young people must be more closely monitored in the online space because they are highly susceptible to the influence of the content they see, read, and watch on social media. Bernard Ferrer for The Nation.
School administrators in the mega city and elsewhere have their guard up in the wake of the in-campus mass shooting at a Tacloban City National High School, which left 3 lives snuffed out and some 20 more injured last Monday. Thus, they are not taking any chances over potential copycat stunts by mentally imbalanced or troubled students, like in today's proceedings at the Batasan National High School, where extended lines formed at the campus entry, which our Kenneth Pasyente covered in this report.
Before being allowed to enter the school's main gate, security guards of Batasan National High School inspect students' bags one by one and thoroughly. Using a metal detector, they strictly checked for any prohibited items to prevent them from being brought inside the classrooms. Because of the large number of students, the line already stretches outside the school's gate. The school administration said it is better to be strict to ensure the safety of the students. This is part of the school's heightened security measures following the shooting incident at a school in Tacloban City.
Lahat po, lahat. Sinasubject po talaga nila lahat. So, yun lang ang medyo naging namin kasi sa dami namin. So, medyo nakakaroon ng cause of delay. So, yun naman yung pinag-aaralan namin paano siya mapapabilis. So, sana rin namin kaagad para at least yung bata hindi rin ma-late pagdating sa first period nila.
The school is also making sure that the entrance for students coming in is separate from the exit for those who have already finished their classes, so that the movement of students in and out of the school can be monitored. The school also plans to regularly implement the protocols it has laid out whenever a shooting incident happens in a school.
Pagka ganun yung scenario, mag-i-stay lang talaga sa room, tapos lalagyan ng barricade yung pinto. Pero hindi siya kasi ginawa na na regular na regular na drill, hindi kagaya ng earthquake na lagi nating ginagawa. From time to time ginagawa natin. So, yun, isasama na rin namin yun sa drill ng mga bata.
Meanwhile, the police have further stepped up security around schools. Additional support is also being provided by force multipliers such as the LGU and the barangay to help maintain security in schools.
Mga tao na hindi naka-uniform o kaya hindi naman kabilang sa barangay o kaya PNP personnel, mga force multipliers, kung hindi sila kabilang doon, maaari natin silang sitahin. Kaya palabasin natin sila dito sa area ng malapit sa school para maiwasan natin yung mga hindi inaasahang pangyayari.
The PNP earlier said community support is important in ensuring the safety of schools.
What we are doing is strategic deployment po. Yung when and where we are most needed. Ito po ay lalong pinaigting natin yung pagbabantay po ng ating mga Kaya nga po kasama dito ay humihingi kami ng tulong at ng suporta ng local community po, the LGU, lalong-lalo na po ng barangay.
The PNP is also now preparing to conduct simulation exercises on proper emergency response, including active shooting incidents. Kenneth Pasyente for the Nation.
A school shooting incident in Tacloban City has reignited discussions on youth violence, juvenile justice, and the measures needed to prevent similar tragedies from happening again. As lawmakers push for an investigation, debates have also resurfaced over the country's laws on children in conflict with the law and whether lowering the age of criminal responsibility is the right response. Sheila Natividad says it all.
Kabataan Party List Representative Rene Co went to the House of Representatives to present a resolution seeking an investigation into the shooting incident at the school in Tacloban City. Those involved in the violence were minors who, according to Co, need guidance in the proper implementation of the Juvenile Justice and Welfare Acts in the Philippines.
Ang gusto nating mangyari, makita kung bakit nagkaroon ng ganitong pagkapasok sa karahasan ang isip ng kabataan at ano pong mga aksyon ang kailangan natin gawin para hindi ito maulit-ulit.
Under Section 20 of the Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act of 2006, if a child involved in a violation of the law is 15 years old or below, the child must be immediately released from the custody of authorities and turned over to the parents, guardian, or social welfare authorities. Instead of undergoing an ordinary criminal trial, the child shall be placed under an intervention program. Meanwhile, under the amendment to the law meant to strengthen it, the child shall undergo a community-based intervention program under the supervision of a social worker. While in some cases, the child may be referred to a youth care facility or bahay pag-asa depending on what is in the best interest of the child. The Philippine National Police is in favor of lowering the age at which a person may be held criminally liable and imprisoned. Instead of keeping the age at 18, the PNP wants it lowered to 12 years old, citing data showing a rise in the number of young people involved in violations of the law. But some lawmakers are opposing the move to lower the age of criminal liability. Manila 3rd District Representative and House Committee on Justice member Joel Chua maintained that lowering the minimum age of criminal liability is not the solution to the violence that took place in the school. Instead, he said the answer lies in restoring proper values, providing loving guidance from teachers and parents, ensuring accessible mental health support, and having leaders and elders who can serve as role models for the youth. House Assistant Minority Leader and Gabriela Women's Party Representative Sara Ilago shared the same sentiment. In her view, the issue is not only about age of discernment but also about what kind of society teaches children that violence is acceptable. A society where bullying, abuse, and lack of accountability are treated normal. Ilago also believes that young people follow what they see in society where violence and impunity are allegedly being normalized, particularly during the term of former President Rodrigo Duterte, which cursing was openly used on television and social media, platforms that are directly accessible to the public. This also includes the violence seen during the drug war.
Profound kapag ang Pangulo ay nagmumura at nagsasabi na babaril, papatay sa pag-iisip ng kabataan. Ayaw natin na makita to ng kabataan bilang ehemplo or mga examples of behavior. So, kaya po, tuloy-tuloy yung processes of accountability natin.
Lawmakers are now coordinating with the Senate and other government agencies to examine the possible findings of the investigation into the school shooting incident. Ko also said that at a time when not only young people but the public as a whole are heavily immersed in social media, platforms themselves also have a responsibility to ensure that content algorithms are age-appropriate. Sheila Natividad for The Nation.
Beyond the investigation into the Tacloban City school shooting, the incident has also brought renewed attention to the mental health challenges facing young people today. Experts say understanding the emotional, social, and environmental factors that may contribute to violent behavior is crucial, not only in addressing the tragedy, but also in preventing similar incidents in the future. The full report from our Carlo Luis Candelaria.
What was supposed to be a peaceful day at the San Jose National High School in Tacloban City last Monday morning turned out to be a tragic incident. It is revealed that it could be planned and had been discussed by the students involved, referred to as Children in Conflict with the Law or CICL, as seen in their chat logs dating back to April. Authorities also revealed that the individuals involved discussed the legal implications of their actions regarding juvenile justice laws. The question is, what leads to such serious actions? According to Professor Madonna Angsundiam, a psychiatric social worker, initial investigations suggest various external influences such as a violent video game.
Na sabi nga ni Albert Bandura, may tinatawag kasi tayo na social learning theory. What does the children see is they try to imitate through role modeling. Kung ano yung nakikita ng mga estudyante sa paligid nila or ng mga kabataan sa paligid nila, there's this great tendency na gagayahin nila.
According to Prof. Madonna, behavioral changes are possibly caused by pressures from the family, school, or the community. In this case, the impact of bullying is being considered as a significant factor.
Dahil nalagay sa pressure yung dalawang nambaril, pwedeng ang naging response nila ay rebellion. Rebellion na inilagay nila yung hustisya sa kamay nila.
Professor Madonna added that there are red flags or noticeable changes in behavior that can indicate if an individual is struggling emotionally.
Yung paraan na kung paano sila magsalita ay hindi na angkop doon sa edad na meron sila. Tingnan natin sa kasi kung paano ba sila kumilos. Bigla-bigla na lang ba silang nagagalit? Bigla-bigla na lang ba silang nakakaramdam na gusto nilang manakit? Bigla-bigla na lang bang sumisigaw? Ayaw na nilang bumarkada sa mga dati nilang kaibigan? Nagkukulong na lang ba sila? O ayaw na nila kayong kausap? Kapag nandun na tayo sa punto na nakita natin yung mga anak natin na gano'n, ibig sabihin, nandun na sila sa paraan, gusto nilang magkaroon ng kapangyarihan para ilagay sa kamay nila yung mga injustices na nararamdaman nila.
Currently, as the investigation continues, a challenge is still faced by the students, teachers, and school personnel regarding the trauma of the incident.
I would always suggest that psychosocial intervention should be given to them. They should be linked to different services na kung saan mapapangalagaan yung mental health.
For those in need of counseling or emotional support, the National Center for Mental Health Crisis hotlines are open. Carlo Luis Candelaria for The Nation.
With the July 6 impeachment trial date locked in, the pre-trial conference intensified on its fourth day as legal panels extended their hours and expanded their processing stations. This to race through tomorrow's deadline with large volumes of evidentiary documents, which our Bernard Ferrer takes on in this report.
On the fourth day of the pre-trial conference, the defense panel, prosecution panel, and private prosecutors remain determined to complete the marking of evidence for the remaining articles of impeachment against Vice President Sara Duterte, particularly Article 1 or misuse of confidential funds and Article 2 or unexplained wealth. To expedite the process, additional marking stations were set up. The number of stations assigned to Article 2 was increased from 1 to 2, while 4 stations were designated for Article 1. The operating hours for the marking station were also extended from the previous schedule of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. to a new schedule of 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
At least for today, for Article 1, they were able to process and mark about 1,300 documents. But the pace today compared to the previous days was a bit faster.
The parties aim to complete the marking of evidence by June 25. Next week, the pretrial order is expected to be issued, after which both parties will be given 3 days to submit their comments. The ongoing pretrial proceedings will not affect the impeachment trial, which is scheduled to begin on July 6.
July 6 still July 6. July 6 is still the date of the start of the trial proper of the impeachment case. While it may be difficult on the part of the court, on the part of the staff, at this point, July 6 as the start of the trial proper is not yet an impossibility.
Meanwhile, the prosecution panel filed for manifestation. This included the use of both Filipino and English during the presentation of witnesses, as well as during direct and cross-examinations. The participation of both public and private prosecutors in questioning and presenting witnesses. The implementation of a reciprocal 3-day witness disclosure requirement, and the opening of the sealed BIR box.
Although I'm sure na yung manifestation na yan that will still be referred, or the defense will still have the right to respond or to comment on the manifestation.
The prosecution panel also responded to the defense panel's claim that prosecutors were not present throughout the entire marking of evidence process.
We're here. We made sure naman na from day one ay may natitira na House prosecutor, and then ngayon na fourth day, at least one prosecutor. Ako nga ang naka-assign this morning, and another prosecutor, si Representative Chel Jokno.
For its part, the defense panel assured that it would formally respond to the manifestations filed by the prosecution panel.
Manifestation, tama naman po yun. And kami, we will have to submit our comment or our response to that manifestation.
As for the sealed BIR box, it cannot yet be considered evidence until the impeachment court issues a ruling on the matter. Meanwhile, Senate President Sherwin Gatchalian will continue to serve as a presiding officer of the impeachment court. Bernard Ferrer, for The Nation.
Local governments nationwide have just been incentivized with the latest palace announcement on close to an 11% uptick on the national tax allotment amount to be farmed out to all LGUs next year for their needs and community spending. This story. Bigger funding is set to be allocated by the administration of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. to every city and municipality next year. According to Executive Secretary Ralph Recto, from 1,190 billion pesos this 2026, the national tax allotment or NTA is projected to grow to 1,320 billion pesos, the amount President Marcos targets to provide to local government units by 2027. The NTA is a share of the national government's tax collections that is given to LGUs to fund essential services in their communities. The expanded NTA aims to strengthen the capacity of local governments to build health centers and schools and to expand the delivery of aid and other forms of assistance. 1 month before the scheduled State of the Nation address, Malacanang assured the public that the executive branch will carefully review the proposed budget that will be submitted to Congress ahead of the President's SONA. This includes the allocation of funds for flood control projects.
Yan po ang pangako ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. and of course, nandiyan naman din po si Secretary Vince Dizon. Lahat naman po ay nakamonitor, pati po ang DBM ay hindi naman bibigay agad ng pera kung hindi po tama ang magiging proyekto.
Malacanang remains determined to ensure that corruption in the use of public funds will not be repeated. This even as some of the proposed funding may be directed to previously identified questionable flood control projects.
Depende po, kasi kung yan po ay talagang project at nahinto lamang dahil sa hindi ginawa, naging ghost projects, pero kinakailangan gawin, kailangan po pondohan.
Previously, President Marcos Jr. ordered the removal of 250 billion pesos in funding from the Department of Public Works and Highways after the highest official of the land personally discovered during inspections alleged ghost and neglected flood control projects last year. Fugitive and former Ako Bicol Representative Zaldi Co is being identified as one of the alleged masterminds of the flood control scam. Co remains at large. However, Malacanang pointed out that authorities continue to pursue those responsible for the anomaly.
Hindi po umiikot ang flood control mess or investigation kay Zaldi ko lamang. Marami pang maaaring involved sa anomalya, maaari pang maraming korupsyon na naganap. Ang managot ay dapat na managot. Of course, nandyan pa rin po, absolutely. Yan ang nais ng Pangulo. Managot ang dapat na managot.
This is Sharm Zespina for the Nation. Gender-challenged and perplexed individuals seeking recognition for their identities based on their gender of choice and by which they are recognized by kin, friends, and family are looking forward to the enactment of a bill that will institutionalize their wishes. Our Elijah Vincent Canlas has more on the proposed Charmaine bill in this report.
As a member of the LGBTQIA+ community, being misgendered and called by her legal name is no longer new to Owa Jane, even though she has a chosen leave name.
Nowadays, kakagraduate ko lang. And of course, nag-aayos tayo ng mga documents natin, nag-a-apply sa mga bangko. Ang ipinapakita kasi natin identification is yung government name ko, yung picture ko nung hindi pa ako nagka-transition. Nadi-discriminate ako na parang sino si gantong pangalan? Sabi ko, hi, I am Owa Jane Bautista. Titingnan pa nila na ilang beses yung ID ko.
That is why for her, a law that protects their recognized identity is crucial. House Bill 9929, also known as the Lived Identities and Recognition Act or the Charmaine Bill, is currently being pushed in Congress inspired by a trending TikTok video. This served as the inspiration for one of the bill's authors, Akbayan Party List Representative Percy Sendanya. According to the lawmaker, if it is easy for Filipinos to recognize a fruit by its desired identity, the same mindset should be extended to members of the community. Under the proposed bill, transgender and intersex individuals will be given the opportunity to change their names and gender markers on legal documents without going through a lengthy process. In addition, the Charmaine bill also covers survivors of gender-based violence and child abuse who wish to change their names for safety and protection. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. also recognizes and supports the calls of the community in conjunction with the celebration of Pride Month this June. He stated that every Filipino has the right to equal protection, opportunity, and respect under the law. According to him, true equality must be reflected in government policies and in the actions of every citizen. LGBTQIA+ groups such as Pantay and Babaylanes also support the passage of the proposed bill. Once the Charmaine bill is passed, it will be a major step toward a community that recognizes and empowers all genders. Elijah Canlas for The Nation.
Results of an exhaustive 2-month probe on the shady Pasig City Hotel and KTV the NBI busted in April show the joint was also a whorehouse dealing allegedly in white slavery and human trafficking. And though the business was registered under former Congressman Mike Defensor's wife and kid, evidence gathered by the NBI in their probe points to Mike Defensor in deep into its operations and business. Our RR Tobise has more on the NBI director's take on this latest discovery as this report comes.
2 months after the entrapment and rescue operation at Chicago KTV and Blue Hotel in Pasig City, the NBI will now include former Quezon City Congressman Mike Defensor in the additional complaint to be filed by the agency. According to NBI Director Attorney Melvin Matibag, Defensor's participation is now clearer after the NBI studied the documents, including the building plans of Cliff Point Square.
Mas malinaw na ngayon yung kaso na pumasok sa atin dito. After nating pag-aralan yung kaso together with the STG, NCR, NBI, NCR, and STG, lumalabas na talagang si Mike Defensor kasama rito and will be filing this case.
The NBI showed the media the original building plan where Mike's office was allegedly listed in the part of the building that was later turned into a KTV.
Na yan, Mike's office. Mike's office nakalagay. Yan na yung ginawa ng KTV yan. So hindi ba itatanggi ni Mike Defensor na hindi niya alam? Wala siyang kinalaman.
The NBI said it is not only looking at the issue of corporate ownership against Defensor. According to the agency, there were also alleged changes to the original design of the building, such as false stairs, blocked passageways, and rooms supposed to be offices that were eventually converted to hotel rooms. In the NBI's view, the KTV and hotel were deliberately designed to link with each other and used in the alleged human trafficking operation.
Alam lahat ni Mike Defensor yung nangyari, being the chairman of the company nung Cliff Point. And lahat ng nangyari na pagbabago roon will lead to doing that human trafficking, yung paglagay ng false doors, ng false stairs, yung paglalagay ng rooms na dapat offices, ginawang hotel rooms.
Matibag further insists Defensor was not just an ordinary landlord because he allegedly had personal knowledge of the changes in the building's design.
He has knowledge. He has personal knowledge. Hindi ordinary na nagpaparenta lang siya. Alam niya lahat yung pangyayari, and he was the one who consented to the changes of the design in order to cater doon sa kanilang plano na human trafficking.
The NBI is mulling to file the additional complaint against Defensor and other officials allegedly involved in the operation on Friday before the Pasig City Prosecutor's Office. Among the cases being looked into by the agency is qualified human trafficking. R.R. Tubise for The Nation.
The graduation of nearly 200 CAFCU active auxiliary trainees pushed through at Camp Kapimpin in Tanay, Rizal, even as an investigation continues into allegations of physical abuse involving several recruits. 12 trainees who were reportedly victims of the incident were not included in the graduation, while the instructor involved has been isolated pending the outcome of the probe. The Philippine Army's 2nd Infantry Division said it is conducting a swift, thorough, and fair investigation, including medical examinations of the alleged victims to ensure justice for all parties involved.
The command would like a swift, thorough, and balanced and fair investigation so that justice will be served for everybody. We want it fast, the resolution to be fast, without sacrificing the human rights aspect of everybody.
In other news, First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos keeps on the distribution of 10-kilogram bags of rice to over 1,000 families in another barangay in Quezon City. This under the Mula sa Puso Para sa Pamilya program, which aims to provide aid and bring positive impact. Elijah Canlas has more.
Grandmother Karina was among those who waited early for the free 10 kilos of rice distributed today. She said it is a big help since she lacks funds and has a grandchild in school.
Malaking bagay na po kasi may apo ako nag-aaral. Siya po ay scholar ng pari namin. So nagbabaon siya araw-araw ng kanin ulam. Plus yung pang mga snack niya. So ito, hindi ko nabibilin.
For Josepina and her husband, the free bag of rice will last them for more than 10 days.
Siyempre malaking tulong to dahil makakalibre na ako sa pagbili ng tigas. Thank you, salamat.
Today, over 1,000 families from Barangay Pag-asa, Quezon City received 10 kilos of rice each. First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos and Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte led the distribution, along with other local city officials. This is under the Mula sa Puso Para sa Pamilya program, which aims to provide aid to the vulnerable sectors like senior citizens, persons with disabilities, indigents, and single parents. According to the First Lady, as a mother, she hopes that the government's small assistance will bring a positive impact.
Bilang isa ina, mahalaga sa atin yung magkaroon ng pagkain sa loob ng sa lamesa namin. Even if we cannot eradicate poverty 100%, at least we can do our bit to lessen the burden, right? So I hope this little gesture will help ease your burden for the days to come.
The funds for the free rice came from the national government under the Local Government Support Fund and released to the LGU. The rice was directly purchased from local farmers to support their livelihood. To date, over 200,000 residents have benefited from the program. This comprises an estimated 25% or a quarter of all the families in the city. Personnel from Task Force Disciplina and the police force were deployed to assist beneficiaries who needed guidance. The presidential wife is scheduled to visit Barangay 377 in Santa Cruz, Manila tomorrow to distribute free bags of rice. Elijah Canlas for The Nation.
Employment Secretary Francis Tolentino and Technical Education and Skills Development Authority Director General Kiko Benitez signed a joint memorandum circular aimed at strengthening livelihood and skills development programs for Filipinos. Through the agreement, the government will ensure a smoother transition for technical vocational graduates from training to employment, entrepreneurship, and sustainable livelihoods. Among the key provisions of the circular is the creation of a structured referral pathway or graduation system that would enable beneficiaries of the TOPAD program to continue their training through TESDA scholarship programs. In the meantime, the Philippine pre-need industry remained resilient despite a decline in earnings during the first quarter of the year, according to the Insurance Commission, or IC. The IC reported the industry's total net income dropped to 140 million pesos in the first quarter of 2026, compared to 1.17 billion pesos in the same period last year, mainly due to lower income generated from trust funds. IC Commissioner Reynaldo Regalado explained that the decline in investment earnings reflects the effects of global economic uncertainty and geopolitical tensions, which have impacted financial markets and investment performance. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s administration is placing energy security at the center of its development agenda to strengthen economic resilience and support the country's transition to a more sustainable energy future. According to Energy Secretary Sharon Garin, the government is enhancing preparedness for fuel supply disruptions while advancing long-term reforms under the Philippine Energy Plan 2023 to 2050. The strategy includes expanding renewable energy, reducing dependence on imported fuel, modernizing power infrastructure, and strengthening collaboration between the government and private sector. And the Philippine Embassy in Thailand recently commemorated the 128th anniversary of the Philippine Independence Day with a celebration anchored on the theme Arts, Culture, and Diplomacy. The event highlighted the use of Filipino artistry as a strategic platform to strengthen international relations. Highlighted during the event was an art exhibition curated by Frederick Epistola under the Arts Without Borders program, which showcased selected works from various Filipino artists. The event concluded with a chorale performance by the Song Weavers, symbolizing the deepening friendship and cultural ties between the Philippines and Thailand. The celebration was honored by the attendance of Thai Prime Minister Anutin Chanwirakul, who served as the guest of honor. And the news continues only here on PTV News Tonight. Don't move a muscle.
Stay up to date on His Excellency President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s actions and initiatives this week as he leads the country in nation building. PBBM at work. Susunod sa Schoolmates. We're serving youthful vibes at Batangas State University. Sabayan mo pa ng hot topic tulad ng aktivismo. And you have a recipe for another fun balitaktakan.
We're defending here the undeniable truth that activism itself promotes the love for one's country kasi may pakika sa ano nangyayari.
Ang aktivismo ay hindi automatikong naglalayong magmahal sa bayan.
Kabataan, boses mo ay mahalaga. Schoolmates, Webes ng gabi, dito lang sa PTV.
The Cine Bata Video Festival is calling for submission of video entries for, by, and with children. Submit videos with the theme, Hear My Voice. Deadline for submission of entries is on July 31, 2026. For details, visit or contact the following.
Disaster Watch. Alamin ang mga dapat ilagay sa go bag bilang paghahanda sa sakuna. Maglagay ng tubig na maiinom at mga pagkaing hindi madaling masira. Maglaan ng espasyo para sa first aid kit at survival kit para sa mga hindi inaasahang pangyayari. Huwag kalimutan ang toiletries para mapanatili ang kalinisan ng katawan. Samahan din ng mga damit at beddings na magtatagal ng ilang araw. At para ligtas at may alam, magdala ng mga teknikal na gamit. Sa panahon ng kalamidad, dapat laging listo.
At your service, Pilipinas, ako si Asik Irene Dumlaon ng DSWD. Samahan niyo po kami para sa isang bagong Pilipinas ngayon, dito lang sa PTV.
House Trial spokesperson and Kabataan Party List Representative Rene Co denied the claim of the defense team of Vice President Sara Duterte that members of the prosecution panel were merely signing attendance sheets and leaving before the marking of exhibits during the pre-trial conference had concluded. According to Co, the allegation has no basis, stressing that both the public and private prosecutors have been fully participating in the proceedings. The lawmaker added that it is the Vice President who has been remarkably absent, despite her previous statement that she was ready to appear before the proper court to answer any allegation against her. Co further said that the prosecution panel and the public are waiting for VP Duterte to demonstrate her readiness to respond to the multiple complaints filed against her. In the meantime, the Criminal Investigation and Detection Group, or CIDG, is in the final stage of its investigation into the deaths of Rene Batermonia and Divine Adili. According to Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla, the investigation has about 2 days left before completion. Because of this, authorities expect to submit their recommendations to the Department of Justice, or DOJ, by Friday for the possible filing of charges. When the dust begins to settle, the search for answers begin. Nearly a month after the deadly building collapse in Angeles City, investigators say they are making headway in uncovering what led to the tragedy, while families continue to seek justice and closure. As our Floyd Brents reports.
Many questions were raised when a building collapsed in Pampanga. Nearly a month after the deadly building collapse in Barangay Balibago, Angeles City, investigators say they are closing in on answers as the facts-finding probe passes the halfway mark. The facts-finding body formed by the Angeles City local government revealed that the investigation is now more than 50% complete and has entered the technical validation and accountability phase. Authorities have already collected crucial samples from the site, which are currently undergoing testing. Officials said the results will help determine the exact cause of the collapse.
Getting samples para po matest ito at to guide them in making a final conclusion into this as to the cause, as to what caused the collapse of the building. So right now, yung technical testings, evaluations are still being evaluated. So hinihintay pa po natin.
Of the 30 people who lost their lives in the Balibago tragedy, 3 remain unidentified. To help bring answers to their loved ones, the local government has conducted DNA testing to establish their identities. City officials also assured the public that assistance and support have been provided to survivors and the families of the victims in coordination with other government agencies. Meanwhile, the local government continues to work with the Department of Public Works and Highways, or DPWH, in assessing evidence gathered from the collapse site. As the investigation moves forward, city leaders are also looking ahead to prevent a similar tragedy from happening again. A proposal now being studied by the city government seeks to strengthen building permit regulations and introduce independent inspections.
Tingin ko, isa sa pinaka-importante, meron tayong third party na mag-a-assess by phase. Meron pagbubuhos sa pundasyon. Meron third party mismo mag-a-assess kung tama ang ginawa ng contractor dun sa mga ginagawang gusali.
Mayor Jan Lasatin said third-party inspectors could help ensure that every phase construction meets safety standards before projects are allowed to move forward.
Na-assure naman po ng lokal ng pamahalaan ng Angeles City na magkakaroon sila ng katarungan. Hindi ko rin na dito sa mga contractor or mga owners, no? Siyempre, gampanan naman nila ang tungkulin nila bilang siyempre sila ang kumuha ng mga trabahanting to. Bigay naman nila yung kaukulang pansin at kaukulang danyos dun sa perwisyong nagawa na sa pamilya.
He emphasized that these inspectors should be independent of both government and private interest to ensure objectivity and public safety. As the search for answers continues, city officials say justice must not be forgotten under the rubble. They are calling on contractors and project owners to fulfill their responsibilities and provide compensation to the families who continue to bear the weight of the tragedy. Floyd Brenz for The Nation.
The Department of Public Works and Highways, or DPWH, has taken its way to restore the operations of the Padre Faura pumping station. This after nearly a year of idleness due to clogging and lack of power, which J.M. Thompson tells us in this report.
The Padre Faura pumping station along Rojas Boulevard in Manila has been idle and damaged for almost a year due to a mountain of garbage and mud clogging it.
Ito nakita natin. Isang taon niyang ganyan. Hindi gumagana. Kaya talaga magbabaha sa TAF, tsaka sa all the way hanggang Pio Campo. Magbabaha dito sa Paura, magbabaha sa Calao, magbabaha sa lahat yan, Magate. Kasi hindi gumagana eh.
Secretary Vince Dizon also found out that the Remedios and Abad pumping stations in Manila are not working either. Meanwhile, Secretary Dizon also discovered that the pumping stations are not connected to Meralco and only run on generators.
Ang generator, para lang yan dapat backup eh. Kaya nga generator, backup lang yan eh. Pero ang problema pag hindi man lang nakonekta to sa Meralco.
Dizon also emphasized that when water pumping is needed, it will not work if the diesel fuel running its engine happens to run out. That is why the DPWH, in cooperation with the Manila LGU, took action to ensure that operations will be continuous, especially in times of need.
So yun ang ginawa namin. Nakipag-usap kami sa Meralco, nakipag-usap kami sa LGU kay Yorme, nagtulong-tulong lahat. Ngayon, by end of June, konektado na lahat tong mga pumping station dito sa Ross Boulevard.
The Secretary assured that the Padre Faura pumping station became operational again today, while the Abad and Remedios pumping stations are expected to be completed by the first week of July. The agency will also ensure that the maintenance and cleanliness of the pumping stations will be sustained.
Ang gagawin na lang, pag naayos, makikipag-usap tayo sa MMDA at sa LGU, kung sino ang willing na mag-take on, mag-operate, mag-maintain, ipapasa na natin, finally.
Meanwhile, preparations are also underway to enlarge several drainages in the area to help recede flood waters faster. The Secretary also ordered district engineers to ensure that the flood strike team is ready at all times to lead the cleaning of drainage inlets in flood-prone areas. The Padre Faura pumping station is expected to help recede floods faster in several parts of Manila. J.M. Thompson for The Nation.
Streets in San Juan City have transformed into a massive water-fueled celebration for the annual Wata Wata Festival in honor of St. John the Baptist. While the day was filled with vibrant floats and water dousing or basaan festivities, city officials enforced strict safety protocols, which Gab Humilde details in this report.
The residents of San Juan City are happily celebrating the annual Wata Wata Festival today in honor of the feast of their patron saint, St. John the Baptist. San Juan City Mayor Francis Zamora led the traditional basaan or dousing of water along Pinaglabanan Street, which was designated as the water splashing zone. The celebration features the beautiful floats depicting the life of St. John the Baptist, who baptized Jesus Christ in the Jordan River. The news team met Bayan earlier along with her co-workers joining in the fun of the annual water dowsing. She said it is her first time participating in the basaan activities.
Masaya siya, nakaka-enjoy kahit maaga akong gumising kasi prepared pa ako.
The basaan also featured performances from some DJs as well as singer Maki.
Ang lahat ng ating selebrasyon, lahat ng basaan ay within the basaan zone lamang at yan po ay sa kabaan ng pinaglabanan street sa pagitan po ng Endomingo at Pilipinas streets. So ang binanggit kong kalyeng ito, ang pinaglabanan street ay sarado ngayon pagdating sa vehicular traffic. So ito po ay ang ating designated basaan zone at kung gusto nyo makisa sa ating selebrasyon, gusto makipagbasaan, gusto nyo mag-enjoy, pumasok po kayo ng basaan zone.
Meanwhile, the mayor assured those visiting San Juan that residents are only allowed to splash water within the designated basaan zones. Splashing water outside the designated zones is strictly prohibited, and violators will face a fine of 5,000 pesos or imprisonment of up to 10 days. Throwing dirty water and harmful materials such as water bombs, plastic bags, bottles, ice, and similar objects is also strictly not allowed. Forcibly opening vehicles, climbing or shaking passing vehicles, entering vehicles to throw water, using unauthorized fire trucks, and using high-pressure water sprayers are also forbidden. The LGU also reminded parents and guardians of minors caught violating the ordinance that their children will be brought to the City Social Welfare and Development Office to undergo the appropriate intervention programs of their office. Gab Humilde Villegas, for The Nation.
12 local government units in Antique suspended classes in all public and private schools from preschool to senior high school due to heavy rains brought by the southwest monsoon enhanced by Typhoon Francisco. Provincial disaster officials reported that the rainfall prompted the precautionary measure to ensure the safety of students. Authorities are closely monitoring major rivers, including the Sibalom River, although water levels have not yet reached critical conditions. Residents are advised to avoid crossing rivers and to remain alert for possible flash floods and landslides, while no preemptive evacuations have been implemented so far. Police authorities in Lanao del Norte have intensified security measures in schools across the province to ensure a safe and secure learning environment for students and school personnel. Provincial Police Director Colonel Leo De Leon Sua said all police units have increased visibility, patrol operations, and coordination with schools, local government units, and community stakeholders. Officers are also deployed in strategic areas near schools during school days as part of efforts to support the Department of Education's safety initiatives. This move comes following recent violent incidences in other parts of the country, with authorities urging the public to remain vigilant and report any suspicious activities immediately. We'll now give you the latest buzz here at Pop Culture Corner. First up, Canadian singer-songwriter Carly Rae Jepsen has announced a new double album titled Day and Night, set for release on September 18th. This project features 24 tracks split into two halves, with Day offering organic, psychedelic pop sounds and Night focusing on a darker, synth-driven style. The lead single, On Wires, will be released on June 26. Jepsen will also kick off promotions at New York City's All Things Go Festival in September. Audiences who are deaf or hard of hearing will soon be able to experience the Broadway musical Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in Manila through a special Filipino Sign Language interpreted performance. The July 22 staging at the Theater at Soler will include live FSL interpretation in partnership with deaf education specialists from De La Salle College of St. Benilde's Center for Education Advancement of the Deaf. Organizers said the initiative aims to make live theater more accessible, with dedicated seating for deaf patrons and support for persons with disabilities or PWD discounts. The production part of the run at Soler Resort Entertainment City ramps up efforts to promote inclusivity in international stage performances in the Philippines. has officially secured its spot in both League of Legends and chess for the upcoming Esports Nations Cup 2026 in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The Philippine League of Legends team booked its place in the tournament after a commanding 2-0 victory over Singapore in the Southeast Asia and Oceania qualifiers. Meanwhile, the country's chess representatives also punched their tickets to the international event after international master Paulo Bersamina defeated Australia's Shravan Ranjit 3-1 in the upper bracket semifinals of the East Asia, Southeast Asia, and Oceania qualifier. FIDE master Danielle Causo also earned a berth in the competition after receiving a direct invitation based on the Esports Nations Cup national rankings. With their qualification secure, the Filipino esports athletes are set to represent the country on the global stage in Riyadh. The Bulacan Dreamers have earned a berth in the 2026 Senior League Softball World Series to be held in the United States. The Philippine representatives secure their place in the prestigious tournament following an impressive campaign in the Asia-Pacific Regional Tournament in Indonesia. The Dreamers dominated their opponents throughout the competition, recording victories over Thailand, Indonesia, and Guam. The team capped its regional run with a commanding 21-0 win over Guam in the championship game to punch its ticket to the World Series. With the qualification secured, the Bulacan squad is set to begin preparations for the 2026 Senior League Softball World Series, scheduled from August 3 to 9. As of 5 p.m. today, the center of the eye of Typhoon Francisco with international name Mekala is located at 320 kilometers east of northeast of Itbayat, Batanes, with the maximum sustained winds of 130 kilometers per hour near the center and a gustiness of up to 160 kilometers per hour. It is moving northward at 15 kilometers per hour. While the southwest monsoon affecting central Luzon, southern Luzon, and Visayas, while Zambales, Bataan, Occidental Mindoro, Palawan, and Antique may expect occasional rains, while Batanes, Cagayan, Ilocos Norte, Apayao, Metro Manila, the rest of Luzon, Negros Island region, and the rest of western Visayas may experience cloudy skies with scattered rains and thunderstorms. The rest of the Visayas and Mindanao may encounter partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers or thunderstorms. And our food for thought tonight comes from Floyd Patterson, an American heavyweight boxing champion known not only for his success in the ring but also for his humility, sportsmanship, and grace in both victory and defeat. And he once said, "It's easy to do anything in victory. It's in defeat that man reveals himself." You know, I honestly believe that this is true because many people find it easy to be kind and nice when things are going well. I mean, there's no pressure. That's why it is very, very, I would say, crucial to always remain kind and considerate no matter what's going on in life. You never know what people are going through. And before we end our newscast, please take the time to like, subscribe, or share PTV's social media pages flashing on your screen right now. It would go a long way, and we would truly appreciate it. And so goes PTV News Tonight's roundup of tomorrow's headline stories. I'm Sharms Espina. Join us again tomorrow on PTV News Tonight.